Welcome to Adventure Lunch, San Antonio's only adventurous lunch program. I'm Jared Kingery.
I'm Bob Gambert.
And I'm Pete Mills.
This is our special guest, Skyping in from the Stone Fruit Studios commissary. Special guest Pete.
So far away.
He's
Such
actually
a handy, useful use of Skype.
This is what technology was meant for.
I believe Pete's working on one of the...
Let's just make sure that people understand that there's not some elitist agenda going on here, that I've not been excluded from the main Stone Fruit studio for some strange reason.
Well, it's a union thing. You're busy supervising a shoot over there.
What's the show?
It's a technological issue that your camera can't zoom out far enough to show 3 people.
No, that's not it all. You said you were working on the production. What show is it you're working on there, Pete?
Adventure Lunch. I'm here working on Adventure Lunch.
No, I thought you were in one of the other Stone Fruit studios producing a different show.
You're across
now.
Across the campus working on another...
I'm sure you did think that.
Oh, all right.
He won't play along at all.
He won't play along at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Adventure Lunch is more important. I'm here to serve a function, guest with you on Adventure Lunch, and I have to say that for my first guest on Adventure Lunch, I think we picked a great place.
Oh, he's already segueing. Look at that.
Wow. Well, you don't have to segue. You can take it off in whatever direction. I understand there is no direction for the show, so.
Anyway, yes. Where did we go this week, Pete?
It was called the Western Broiler.
The Western...
It was on the recommendation of a friend of Bob and ours named Kathy.
Thank you, Kathy.
We played poker with, and she said, y'all need to go to the Western Broiler.
And if you're wondering where it is, it's at 1319 Frio City Road. That's at the corner of Frio City and Zarzamora on the southwest side.
It's the near, I think you would call it the near west side. Like it's
I don't
just
really
west
qualify as south side. It's near southwest, sort of.
It's
south.
If it's anything, it's the west side.
I think there's about 14 roads that come together right there at that point.
And this is what it looks like from the street. We just showed you a picture of the sign. This is what it looks like from the street. It looks like, as my mom would call it, and my parents would call it, a beer joint.
It looks like a beer joint.
It looks like a beer joint.
There's a reason for that.
There's a reason for that, and we'll get to that in a minute. So we went inside, right? We had no idea what to expect.
Well, we did know one thing. Kathy had told us, you gotta get the biscuits. And so right away we knew that we were gonna have a biscuit extravaganza.
Right, and
wasted no time getting onto the biscuits.
Well, yeah, obviously. Well, we spoke to we had a waitress, fantastic waitress.
Oh, I fell in love with her.
This is her. This is Carmen. And
hi, Carmen.
Hello, Carmen. She's worked there for almost 34 years, she said,
yes.
Which I haven't even been alive 34 years.
Some of us have, though.
Some of us have. These two. But she...
Where did we go again?
This is weird, isn't it? This is a little weird. So we asked about the biscuits straight off the bat. And Carmen told us a little history of the biscuits, and we have a clip of that here.
They're made with love. I mean, they really are. We take pride in making our biscuits because we're known for our biscuits. I mean, people come in here from all over just to pick up biscuits to go. Downtown, they'll come by. I mean, we even did for the rodeo one year, a couple of years ago. We did the VIP tent. We had the biscuits, and Pioneer was competing with us, and they would come to us. So they got a little jealous because they said our biscuits were better than theirs.
Right.
So
they did the biscuits for the rodeo, which is a huge deal.
It's a lot of biscuits.
Deal. And the Pioneer, who's, are they still on strike?
Are they still on strike, by the way? No one knows for sure.
Right.
They were jealous of the biscuits. So that's how good these biscuits are. People come in, according to Carmen, and order, dozens of them to take with them. I think they had an order, she said, right before we were there, a few days before, of 162 biscuits.
They cook them fresh from scratch every morning, right there at the Western Broiler, and they're delicious. They're warm. They're a little crisp on the outside, soft on the inside. Now, I thought they were fantastic with a little bit of butter and some honey on them. That made them really good. Now, you had a different way. Do you like?
Well, okay. This is how they come to you on an individual plate like this, and you get your typical. You get a little pat of butter. You get a little thing of whatever kind of jelly you like. I prefer grape jelly. I love a good biscuit buttered with some grape jelly. There's no other kind of jelly, in my opinion. I don't know about you two.
And we had just it was funny because we had just had a discussion about the difference between jelly and jam.
What's the difference between jelly and jam, Pete?
Let's see. Jam still has the fruit in it, and I don't believe jelly still has bits of fruit in it.
Jelly is like a chemical process.
Well, the great thing about having Pete on the show is whenever we have a question like that, I know Pete's going to have the answer.
Right.
Well, especially jam-related products.
Pete is
I know a guy. I know a girl too, who was in the jam thing. So you got questions? Fire away. Or I can send you to somebody who knows. But we digress.
In the jam industry.
In the jam industry.
Your jam is...
I know somebody.
Hold on.
Shout out to Deluxe Foods in Seattle. There you go.
Who are they? Are they?
There's a very good friend, Rebecca Staffel, who makes her own locally sourced jam and jam products in Seattle. Deluxefoods.com. Check it out.
I knew he was get the website.
Plug away.
And the website. We actually have the website right here.
Right next to our
biscuits to Seattle. Let's get back to the biscuits.
Anyway, we started off by asking about the history of the place, and this restaurant has been around for years. First started out as a place called Wings, and they actually have pictures of the place on premises. This is what Carmen showed us.
Yeah, if you go in and ask them, they'll show you some pictures of the Great Flood of 1946.
And as I showed this picture to my grandfather, who knows of the Western Broiler, as does my mother, because my grandfather worked at Kelly, as did everybody's grandfather.
Yeah, and that's the other thing we should have said. This is, at one time, Kelly Base Housing basically butted right up against the Western Broiler.
So according to Carmen, all the airmen would come. They'd ride the bus into town, ride the bus back, and the bus stop was right across the street. And they'd just walk over to the Western Broiler.
And apparently there was a train station across the street at one time.
There's a large train tracks. I think I have a picture of that here. You may recognize the area if you see it. This huge pedestrian bridge right there on Frio City Road. As you're headed towards the junkyards, which is where I spent a lot of time as a kid.
In the junkyards.
It's like the Heathcliff. Remember Heathcliff cartoon? No. There was those junkyard cats. Pete? Heathcliff? Anybody?
All right.
Anyway, moving on. So the place started out as a cafe called Wings.
Then they transitioned when someone else bought them to Townsend's.
Townsend's, and we have a picture of Townsend's right here. Once again, Townsend's, a bunch of old cars out front. This is how long this building has been around. And as you'll notice in the pictures here, it used to have windows.
Yeah, Carmen had explained that the hoodlums in the neighborhood kept breaking the windows. So, I'm sorry, Pete?
Ne'er-do-wells.
Ne'er-do-wells. Yes. So instead of continually replacing the windows, they just bricked over.
Bricked them over. So that's what gives it its sort of bar, beer joint feel. Because there's no windows when you look outside. It looks like you're going to go in and have a...
And in the areas where the windows used to be, they've put up like pictures and art, which some of it's kind of interesting, especially... well, there's some pictures of some of the old owners sitting on the front porch and stuff like that. But the one that I don't know. Do we have the picture of
which one?
Of the?
You were vexed by one picture in particular.
The wagon trail. There was a wagon trail with like a.
It's okay. This is sort of a Grizzly Adams.
And I'm not sure if that's an Indian or if he's a.
Pete thought it was the Donner Party.
Pete thought it was the Donner Party.
I didn't think it was a tribute to the Donner Party to make you appreciate the food in front of you that much more.
And as you can see in the still, the sort of mountain man god, I don't know what that is.
He was staring at me right in the face for the whole
minute. But he's got a raccoon on his head. Yeah, not a coonskin cap. This is like he hollowed out a raccoon. He hollowed out a raccoon and placed it upon his wise mountain god noggin.
My recommendation: take a couple minutes and just take a look at some of those photos and paintings.
And then let's get right into the food, because that's what we really came for.
I got the liver and onions.
Liver and onions, because disgusting. Hey, look, some hair just
You're not a big fan of liver and onions?
No, I don't eat organ meat.
Oh, they were so good. I'm a liver and onions fan in the first place, and these were perfect. Lots of flavor. The onions were nice and crisp.
What does it taste like?
Well, you could have tasted it.
Well, I don't want to taste it. I want a description. Like, is it so they fry it up? Is it like pan-fried liver? What is it? I don't understand.
It's liver, fried in a pan. Then you put some onions in there, and then a lot of times you put a little bit of gravy over the top of it. And that's what I had.
The gravy just sort of hides it, in my opinion.
No, it's great. The liver is really, really good, and really good for you too.
Pete, what do you think about liver?
It's a very, very healthy food. Not my favorite texture in the world.
How many?
Did they not come recommended, Bob? Didn't somebody say, "Hey, get the liver and onions," or was that Carmen as soon as we got there?
I think I saw it on the menu first and fell in love.
What do you
on the specials or something?
Yeah.
How connected are you to the liver and onions industry, Pete? Do you
Do you have somebody in Seattle?
My mom did a really good liver and onions, but it's definitely not a cut of meat that I reach for. It's a very, very healthy cut of meat.
Pete, what did you get?
Pete, what did you get? Yes.
I got the chicken pot pie.
That is
it's delicious.
That is the chicken pot pie right here.
It's exactly what you want a chicken pot pie to look like.
Right. It's not a Stouffer's microwave chicken pot pie.
No,
It's cold and
no. It's in a ceramic bowl. The crust was perfect, and it was draped over the sides of the bowl just right. I would say that it was the epitome of a chicken pot pie.
Okay.
Now, a lot of times what people have a problem with the chicken pot pie is you have to keep your crust to pie ratio correct as you're eating it, and it looks like there's plenty of crust to keep that up. Is that true, Pete?
That was not a challenge at all.
What's with the fixins on the side? Let me show that picture again. What's with all the? I've never gotten a chicken pot pie that had like a pickles and tomatoes along with it.
There were pickles on the small garden salad that came with it, which was an interesting touch, and I like having that tartness with it. But I know chicken pot pie enough to know if that's become like a standard side dish for a chicken pot pie.
You've been out of the chicken pot pie game a while. Right? I mean, the world. It's like NBA used to have the real short shorts. Now they got the long shorts. Is this like an evolution in chicken pot pie?
When's the last time you had a chicken pot pie, Pete?
Well, I do a lot of those. It's been a long time, but I'd say the last several that I had before this one probably came out of a box, like Marie Callender's or something.
Now you were telling
Marie Callender's. That's pretty snobby.
Well, for box food, it's not.
Because I ate the Stouffer's, which was like 97 cents, and you got to jam a fork into it to ventilate it.
Pete was saying that there was actually, he had made some kind of an error or something.
I was curious, like a fatal chicken pot pie error.
Yes, I forgot.
But you wouldn't tell us what it was.
You have this conundrum when you get a chicken pot pie delivered to you, especially one that is fresh, and like Carmen had said, the food's made with love, so that crust seals in a lot of the flavor. It also seals in a lot of heat. So this is the conundrum. You're hungry, you know the chicken pot pie is going to be good, so you pierce that crust, you get some of that steam, you mix it up to get the right, what was it you called it, the filling to crust ratio for the first couple bites.
Right.
But when you vent that bad boy, helps to wait. It's like pulling a steak off the grill and not cutting into it immediately so the juices can sort of reintegrate into the meat.
You got to let it rest. You got to rest your meat.
Don't let the pie cool down and you go for it too quick, you end up burning your mouth. And the filling on this was really, really good. I thought it didn't have the meatiness to it. The chicken that was in it was really well cooked, and the ratio was good. The filling seemed, flavor-wise, like a little separate from the rest of the pie.
This is really analytical.
Just long enough so the first couple of bites were really, really hot, and I almost burned the tongue and wiped out the palate, but not quite, and it turned out okay. But if you go into a chicken pot pie too early and burn your mouth, it ruins it because you can't taste it.
This is why we bring Pete. This is why we bring Pete.
This is important stuff. So just to review, if you get a chicken pot pie, first you have to pierce the pie to let it vent, and then wait what, about 3 minutes, Pete?
Yeah, it's going to depend on the pie. If some of them come out super hot, and you'll know when you pierce the top of that thing.
Is that a good time to eat your pickles?
I would enjoy a pickle or two in that instance, yes.
That's good information. And so, do you like your pie?
Hey, you know what? Like I said, the crust was beautiful. The meat was perfectly cooked and flavorful. The veggies, there wasn't a big mix of veggies. There were a lot of carrots, but still they tasted really good. And like I said, the filling was kind of subtle. It was almost as if the filling might have been done separate, or they didn't brown the meat and the filling enough together. But it got the point across. And I would definitely recommend, if somebody said they were going there, I'd say, hey, try the chicken pot pie if you're in the mood for it, because it's really, really good.
All right, then. And
I think he talked about the chicken pot pie for longer than it took him to eat it.
Oh, it took me a long time. You guys were done before I was done.
You gotta understand.
What did you have, Jared?
I had the bean burger. This is probably how many bean burgers have I had on the show now? This is at least the third.
You've become all about the. I have a question about bean burgers.
Are
bean burgers just a Texas thing?
I don't know.
I don't remember ever having a bean burger before.
I think it might be, because if you try to tell somebody
inside the borders of Texas.
So you think it's a Texas thing, Pete?
No, I've had them in California.
Oh, okay, I see.
I've had them in Phoenix,
Seattle.
Phoenix Airport, there's a joint in the Phoenix Airport that serves a pretty good bean burger.
You know, every time I go to the Phoenix Airport, I want to go to Jody Maroney's Sausage Kingdom. Have you ever seen that one?
Yes.
Have you ever eaten there?
Not food for sausage walking through the airport.
I'm not a senator. Anyway.
Stay out of the bathroom, Senator.
Anyway, I have a wide stance, okay?
Wide stance.
Wide stance. Anyway, yeah, I got the bean burger. And like I said, if you try to tell people outside of I guess, the southwestern region.
What makes for a good bean burger?
Okay, you need a good burger to start with. Because some people think, when you say bean burger, they think, oh, it's one of those hippie ones made of beans.
That's the first thing I would think.
Right. This is a...
Because I'm cursed by hippies.
I know. You need a good burger. You know, you can't hide it under beans.
Okay, so burger.
You need some really lardy beans. These were pretty lardy.
And when we say beans, what kind of beans are we talking
refried
about?
Beans.
Refried beans. Okay.
You know, if you get pinto beans, that's just a mess. That's just a loose meat sandwich.
That can't happen.
They're just going to slip and slide everywhere.
So with a layer of refried beans.
Preferably some cheddar cheese.
Okay.
I like a little yellow cheddar cheese.
All right.
That's what this has. I'll show you the picture again. That's a nice layer of shredded.
But there's
yellow
also
cheese.
some crunch in there too.
There's some crunch in there. You need some sort of chips. I know a lot of places like to put their own sort of corn chips. Fritos is what they used here at Western Broiler.
Is that a good choice?
That's a good choice. They're small, crunchy enough. It's a familiar flavor. It's a little saltier than, say, a corn chip, a normal corn tortilla chip. And then you need some onions. And that's a bean burger. That's a bean burger. You don't need anything else on it, as far as I'm concerned.
Pete, do you concur with that description of the bean burger?
You need also a bun that can stand up to the extra lubrication of the beans.
Well, yes, you need a bun. Sorry,
the texture of the beans
but not just any bun, though.
Sliding out, it's a big, big mess.
Well, the refried beans act as more of a glue. So I don't really think that's really too necessary.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you, in fact, have to cut your burger in half, or were you able to attack it whole?
Do I look like a girl?
I was going to say,
I look like a girl.
Cutting a burger in half is a little feminine, isn't it?
We only cut our burgers in half when we're splitting
at buns, or at buns.
Well, when we were splitting it.
Yes.
We didn't have burgers in buns.
Well, we had a huge sandwich.
Right. It was already cut, though.
Oh, okay. We had no choice.
We cut them at Big Bob's because we were splitting it.
Right.
Anyway.
Right.
As far as bean burgers go, this is not the best one I've had. That's still going to Big Bob's right now. So, okay. Bob, if you're watching...
The throne. It was his birthday was yesterday, I think.
I think it was 2 days ago.
2 days ago.
Anyway, yes, happy birthday, belated birthday, Bob Riddle, Big Bob's Burgers.
Hi, Bob.
I also noticed that you had onion rings, and I'm not sure if maybe I'm dreaming this, but I thought I saw you put one of the onion rings on the sandwich.
They came, as you can see, once again in the picture, we'll show you. This is how the plate came to me, with the onion rings stacked upon the burger. And so I asked Carmen, I said, so am I supposed to put these onion rings on the burger? She said, well, some people do, some people don't. So there was 2 sets of onion rings, and these onion rings were fine. They don't seem to be homemade at all. They're a little too perfect, I guess. But they're fine for onion rings. Again,
did you do the test where you bite into the onion ring and did the onion come out?
It did not come out, okay. But it was not a Big Bob's quality, gotcha. not a Bun's quality.
You're not going there for the onion rings.
No. So and the fries were okay, but again, I've kind of grown weary of fries. So yeah, I really liked the bean burger. Probably could have done. I would have loved. When I go to a diner place like this, like Western Broiler, I think it's safe to say it's a diner, right?
Yes.
Because they had a lunch counter.
It's definitely a diner.
I like to get a sandwich, and then I like to get a side. Pardon me. That's not, you wouldn't necessarily put with a sandwich, like mashed potatoes or something. But I wanted to go for the pure experience.
All right. So just to review a little bit with food, we definitely like the biscuits. I love the liver and onion. Okay, you got a picture of and
every meal also came with some cornbread.
Cornbread,
which was delicious.
Good cornbread. Pete?
Great cornbread.
I love a good cornbread.
We can all agree on the cornbread.
I don't. I don't know if it's as good as a biscuit, but I wouldn't kick it out of corn bed.
But seriously, folks.
But I think we can. I can highly recommend liver and onions. I thought it was a fantastic liver and onions, as good as you're going to find anywhere.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
I thought the biscuits were fantastic.
About what's going on back in the kitchen too, because liver and onions is really, really easy to screw up. So it sounds like they cooked the liver just right, and the onions weren't like really dominant, and you liked it.
Well, they know what they're doing because they've had the same food for 50 years.
Right.
So they know what they're doing, and. What else were you talking about?
I was just going to summarize that. Also, from Pete's description, the pot pie is a good choice, but maybe not a place you'd go for a bean burger. Although the bean burger was okay.
It was fine. I would probably get a little more traditional, something a
More
little
diner
more,
food.
Right.
Diner food.
I mean,
yeah,
Bean
yeah.
Burger's more of a burger joint place.
No, I'm with you, 100%.
So not that it was bad, just that it's not. I didn't have the sort of transcendent meal experience that.
Can I tell you how much I love Carmen?
She was fantastic.
Maybe one of the best
Yes.
waitresses we've ever had.
Yeah.
I mean, just a joy of a person to be around. And Pete, you had an observation that the people seem to love her. Everyone who came in the place loved her, right?
You know, that's the thing. If we recommend this place, I think it's safe to say that all three of us might say, you know, definitely you should go there, and the food's okay. But what this place has is history and people that care.
Yeah.
And if Carmen is anything like everybody else in the place, they don't have an enemy in the world. Just while we were sitting there, Carmen and the other waitress recognized and said hello, went over and gave hugs to a couple of people that came in for lunch.
Well, she told an interesting story too. She told an interesting story too about a customer that had come in the day before, and they drove him home because he had an argument with his wife.
But how did he? He's blind.
He's legally
and
blind.
he drove there.
He's legally blind. He's an old airman from Lackland.
Right.
She worked at Kelly.
How good is the food? Blind people drive to get there.
And he's been coming there for years.
Yes.
Years.
Decades.
And
I don't think he's been driving every time.
no. I think he's
Probably the wife
as he's
coming.
gotten older, his faculties have left him, but he still makes time to go to Western Broiler, and they know him. You know, they know. She knew. We said, "Hey, what did he eat?" She's like, "Oatmeal and bacon." You know,
She knows
right
exactly
off
what
the bat. She knows
In
what
fact,
he ate.
she
That's something that
said-
we have not mentioned. We should probably toss it in right now that it seems like lunch is probably less than half their business. That they serve breakfast all day, and they're really known for their breakfasts along with those biscuits.
Well, yeah, they close at 3 p.m. So
And Carmen said she knew most people by what they ordered.
right,
And
and the regulars come in. They've had the regular since it's an older part of town. This used to be sort of the center of town. We
right.
saw this with Gallo Pizzeria,
Right.
And we've seen this Western Broiler. This is a part of town that has unfortunately fallen by the wayside for a lot of people.
Yes.
Remember, you know, back in the day when this place was new, that was the jumping part of town. Everybody thought that the development of San Antonio was going to be around those military bases down there. This place was in business long before the push north ever began.
Now this is an old area,
Right.
and an old establishment that's been around for, you know, hundreds of years, right?
Well, at least since the 40s.
All right,
because we have photographic evidence of being. So it's been 66 years.
It's been around for a long, long time. Now, with an establishment like this being around for so long, one of the things you can expect is a ghost or two.
Yes.
And sure enough, as we talked to some of the people that work there, the place is haunted.
It is haunted, but they seem to be benevolent ghosts. They're not frightening. They move silverware around.
And the worst, I guess, the worst story they have of the ghost is one lady had a plate of spaghetti that one of the waitresses was bringing out to a table, and
No, it was her lunch. It was her lunch.
It was her lunch. It was
Yeah.
her lunch. The ghost knocked the spaghetti out of her hand, but the spaghetti fell straight down and was fine. It just fell straight to the ground. That's a pretty benevolent ghost, like you said. Yeah.
That's not a jerk move. by
That's
a
just
ghost.
kind of another guy to
that's-
have around, and maybe a little grumpy.
That's just like, oh, you
ghosts.
But none of us did go. If you find yourself at the Western Broiler and you have to use the bathroom, we have been told that there is a presence in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Spectral presence.
Now I've left a lot of demons in a lot of bathrooms.
That's a different kind of deal.
I've unleashed.
Sharing. Thanks for that mental image.
I eat bean burgers a lot, Pete. What do you want from me?
Like,
It's getting a little scatological here. So let's bottom line this. Western Broiler.
I highly recommend it. I think it's a great trip to a side of town that maybe you don't spend a whole lot of time
It's
at.
not even that far. Like we drove.
It's like right off 90. Right off 90.
It's right off 90 and 35.
15 minutes from downtown. The people are great. You will have a nice conversation with your waitress.
And you know, I'd never been here before. Like I said, I spent a lot of time with my dad going down Frio City Road to junkyards. You know, my grandfather worked at Kelly. It's not an area I ever went to for whatever reason. You know, I mean, not a restaurant I ever went to for whatever reason.
I get it.
And everybody that's been there is like, oh yeah, that place is great. They have great biscuits, and you can stop in, you can call in, order biscuits ahead, pick them up.
I think we highly recommend it. That's our bottom line.
Bottom line.
If you run into somebody or you have friends that have been in San Antonio a long time, maybe they grew up on the south side, the west side, they probably have a Western Broiler story.
But still, we don't know why it's called Western Broiler. Nobody knows why it's called Western Broiler.
And
didn't they say they used to have a meat pit out back? They used to have a barbecue pit.
But that was when it was Townsend's. That was when it was
smokehouse. A smokehouse.
There's no rhyme or reason for the name Western Broiler. You're probably not gonna. You might think it's a steakhouse, but it's not.
Are we putting up a rating on this? We're gonna put a number on the Western Broiler.
Well, we just say we recommend it. We don't do the rating. We don't do number stuff.
Oh, you scrapped the rating system. Okay.
It made some people mad.
Oh yeah, Bob didn't like the rating system.
Yeah. Well, if you want to, as long as you brought it up, let's talk about it. The reason we don't do the rating system anymore is because we don't put enough thought into it.
Right.
I mean, we basically yes no a place when it comes down to it, and what we try to do is find the best of the places we go, and then we find ourselves what is this on a 1 to 10 scale, and we kept saying 8 for everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it really wasn't fair because we're not trying to rate one place against another. We're not trying to do that at all. So we just dropped the rating system and let you know what's good about a place.
Frankly,
it's more adventurous that way.
Frankly, if we mention a place again, like we do with Big Bob's, like we do with Four Kings, like we do with Gallo, and like we will with Western Broiler, it means we liked it.
Right.
So you watch further shows to flesh out the rating.
And if we mention a place that we don't like, you'll know that.
Like
Malibu Shack.
Malibu Shack. Anyway.
Hey, I did have a question. If you guys did go back to Western Broiler, what would you have?
I'd probably hit up that chicken pot pie. That looked pretty good.
I would either get the liver and onions again, which I thought was fantastic. Or actually, if I went back again, I would go back for breakfast. All right, and
yes.
I would buy a traditional breakfast. But if I went for lunch, chicken pot pie, just because it looks so good when you're eating it, and now I know the proper ventilation time that I'll be able to eat it perfectly.
Yeah.
The way Carmen talked up breakfast, I would definitely hit up a breakfast, and if not that, I think they had chicken fried steak, and people might be shocked. Fans of the place might say, "Holy, you went there and you didn't get chicken fried steak," because it strikes me as a big chicken fried steak place.
Is that just a gut feeling, or is that like research based?
It was right there on the menu, right?
Well, I know that.
I think it was listed like one of the 5 daily, weekly specials, whatever. So I'm guessing it's probably pretty good.
Had you had any feedback from anyone you talked to about the?
We want to know where this chicken fried steak is.
mentioned it.
What?
The girl that recommended the place to us, I think it's chicken fried steak.
Let's get a little inside baseball here. So let's put a button on this. Where are we going next week? Anybody have any suggestions? You can get a hold of us here at Lunchfotainment.
That's our Twitter.
That's our Twitter handle, Lunchfotainment. Or you can email us at lunchfotainment@gmail.com.
That's correct.
You can get a hold of Pete on his Facebook. You can talk about Rush.
You can actually email Pete through the other one too.
Yeah, you can. We'll forward it on to Pete.
Yeah. Or look us up at VHSapes.com.
VHSapes.com.
What else? How else can you get a hold of us? What's your phone number?
My phone number is 210-226.
Call us on the telephone.
What is that?
Anything else?
That's it. So until next time,
have an adventurous lunch. Come on, Pete.
I get it.
Yeah.